Hello folks, Wolf Ninja here, bringing you another nerdy video. This is part 2 of my Paladin discussions video. In the previous video we talked about Paladins as a whole and my own thoughts on them, as well as, some misconceptions that some people have when it comes to Paladins in 5th edition. We talked about how their lore suggests that Paladins can be both religious warriors or just very devoted knights. Where then, as we got to the mechanics of the class, their abilities paint a slightly different picture. I gave my own explanation of why a Paladin may have seemingly divine magic, despite them not being religious or worshipping a god. For example, a god might just look down at what a paladin is doing and be like, yeah, he deserves some power, We also talked about how paladins can be of different alignments. They don't have to be good alignment. But yeah, let's just get straight down into it, folks. We're talking about their sacred oaths. Now, this is the key feature. Like, the player's handbook even advises that you plan ahead for your sacred oath. And the first of the sacred oaths we'll be talking about is the Oath of Devotion. And here we go. The Oath of Devotion binds a paladin to the loftiest ideals of justice, virtue, and order, sometimes called Chevaliers, which I find hilarious because we got a class called Chevaliers now. White knights or holy warriors. These paladins meet the ideal of the knight in shining armor, acting with honor in the pursuit of justice and the greater good. They hold themselves to the highest standards of conduct, and some, for better or worse, hold the rest of the world to the same standards. Many who swear this oath are devoted to gods of law and good, and use their gods' tenets as a measure of their devotion. They hold angels and perfect servant. They hold angels, the perfect servants of good, as their ideals, and incorporate images of angelic wings into their helmets and coat of arms. Tenets of devotion. Now, the tenets are sort of rules that your paladin should really try and live up to. Though the exact words and strictures of an oath of devotion vary, paladins of this oath share these tenets. So the exact words can be different. They don't actually give you an actual oath to say, because it depends on where you are and who you're swearing it to. Honesty. Don't lie or cheat. Let your word be your promise. Courage. Never fear to act, though caution is wise. Compassion. Aid others, protect the weak, and punish those who threaten them. Show mercy to your foes, but temper it with wisdom. Honor. Treat others with fairness, and let your honorable deeds be an example to them. Do as much good as possible while causing the least amount of harm. Duty. Be responsible for your actions and their consequences. Protect those entrusted to your care, and obey those who have the authority over you. These are the tenets of devotion. And again, straight off the bat, you get a sense of white knights. Straight off the bat. So, let's continue. Your oath spells for this class. At 3rd level, you have access to Protection from Evil and Good and Sanctuary. At 5th level, you have access to Lesser Restoration and Zone of Truth. At 9th level, you have access to Beacon of Hope and Dispel Magic. 13th level, you have Freedom of Movement and Guardian of Fate. 17th level, you have Commune and Flame Strike. Now, your channel divinity for your paladin with this devotion, you have Sacred Weapon. As an action, you can imbue one of your weapons that you're holding with positive energy. Using your channel divinity for 1 minute, you add your charisma modifier to attack rolls made with that weapon for a minimum bonus of +1. The weapon also emits bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light 20 feet beyond that. If the weapon is not already magical, it becomes magical for the duration. You can end this effect. You can end this effect on your turn as part of any other action. If you are no longer holding or carrying this weapon, or if you fall unconscious, the effect ends. Turn the Unholy. As an action, you can present your holy symbol and speak a prayer censoring fiends and undead, using your channel divinity. Each fiend or undead that can see or hear you within 30 feet of you must make a wisdom saving throw. If the creature fails the saving throw, it is turned for 1 minute or until it takes damage. A turned creature must spend its turns trying to move as far away from you as it can, and it can't willingly move to a space within 30 feet of you. It also can't take reactions. For its action, it can only use the dash action or try to escape from any effect that prevents it from moving. If there's nowhere to move, the creature can use the dodge action. Aura of Devotion. Starting at level 7, you and your friendly creatures within 10 feet of you can't be charmed while you are conscious. At 18th level, this aura increases to 30 feet. I like how especially with the devotion so far, you can have like 3 auras just constantly active, which one makes it so that you can't be frightened. This one makes it so that you can't be charmed, and then there's another one that gives a modifier to saving throws. It's really funny. Paladins are definitely playing into tank or support, and I imagine eventually that they can also be a decent DPS. They have some healing, but I haven't looked at their spells, so I can't say for certain if they can be healers. But wow. Purity of Spirit. At level 17, you're always under the effects of protection from good and evil. That is really good. Level 20, you have Holy Nimbus. At 20th level, as an action, you can animate an aura of sunlight. For 1 minute, a bright light shines from you within a 30-foot radius and to 30 feet beyond that. Whenever an enemy creature starts its turn in the bright light, the creature takes 10 radiant damage. In addition, for the duration, you have advantage on saving throws against spells cast by fiends or undead. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. There you go, folks. That is the Aura of Devotion. That is the Aura of Devotion. Sorry, Oath, not Aura. Oath of Devotion. And it's alright. It definitely plays into a White Knight. An Aura Chevalier. Now, there's actually a sidebar. Sorry, I really forgot to do this. Here we go. It's a sidebar titled Breaking Your Oath. A paladin tries to hold to the highest standards of conduct, but even the most virtuous paladin is fallible. Sometimes the right path proves too demanding, sometimes a situation calls for the lesser of two evils, and sometimes the heat of emotion causes a paladin to transgress his or her oath. A paladin who has broken a vow typically seeks absolution from a cleric who shares his or her fate, or from another paladin of the same order. A paladin might spend all night vigil in prayer as a sign of penance, or undertake a fast, or similar act of self-denial. After a rite of confession and forgiveness, the paladin starts fresh. If a paladin willfully violates his or her oath and shows no signs of repentance, the consequences can be serious. At the DM's discretion, an impotent paladin might be forced to abandon this class and adopt another, or perhaps to take the Oathbreaker Paladin option that appears on the DM's Dungeon Master's Guide. So there you go, folks. So yeah, like with the cleric and warlock, you have to be mindful of your role playing with this class. You can't just willy-nilly go against your tenets and your oath. Now, as I said, It even talks about how a paladin might have to sometimes take the lesser of two evil and whatnot. But it also talks about like how you don't have to go into a prayer or whatever. You could go to another paladin to reassure that what you did is forgiven. Like if you broke your oath, you can go to another paladin of the same order and be like, "I'm sorry, I broke my oath. Can you forgive me?" And again, I like that. Again, I like how they're keeping the options open. Now, next is the Oath of the Ancients. The Oath of the Ancients is as old as the race of elves and the rituals of druids. Sometimes called Fey Knights, Green Knights, or Horns Knights, paladins who swear this oath cast their lot with the side of the light in the cosmic struggle against the darkness, because they love the beautiful and life-giving things in the world, not necessarily because they believe in the principles of honor, courage, or justice. They adorn their armor and clothing with images of growing things, leaves, antlers, or flowers, to reflect their commitment to preserving life and light into the world. Tenets of the Ancients. Tenets of the Oath of Ancients have been preserved for uncounted centuries. This oath emphasizes the principles of good above any concerns of law or chaos. Its four central principles are simple. Kindle the light. Through your acts of mercy and kindness and forgiveness, kindle the light of hope in the world, beating back despair. Shelter the light. Where there is good, beauty, love, and laughter in the world, stand against the wickedness that would swallow it. Where life flourishes, stand against the forces that would render it barren. Preserve your own life. Preserve your own light. Delight in song and laughter and the beauty and art. If you allow the light to die in your own heart, you can't preserve it in the world. Be the light. Be a glorious beacon for all who live in despair. Let the light of your joy and courage shine forth in all your deeds. I like how the Oath of Ancients is very much like, don't forget to, like, especially with Preserve Your Own one, it's like, make sure you yourself enjoy what you're protecting. You took up this oath to protect the beauty and life. So don't shy away from it. Take the moments to enjoy it. And I like that. Your oath spells are as follows. At 3rd level, Ensnaring Strike and Speak with Animals. 5th level, Moonbeam and Misty Step. 9th level, Plant Growth and Protection from Energy. 13th level, Ice Storm and Stone Skin. 17th, Commune with Nature and Tree Stride. Your channel divinity is also as follows. Nature's Wrath. You can use your channel divinity to invoke the primeval forces to ensnare a foe. As an action, you can cause spectral vines to spring up and reach for a creature within 10 feet of you and that you can see. The creature must succeed a strength or dexterity saving throw, its choice, or be restrained. While restrained by the vines, the creature repeats the saving throw at the end of each of its turns. On success, it frees itself and the vines vanish. Turn the Fateless. You can use your channel divinity to use ancient words that are painful for the Fae and Fiends to hear. As an action, you present your holy symbol, and for each Fae or Fiend within 30 feet of you, and that can hear you, must make a wisdom saving throw. On a fail save, the creature is turned for 1 minute or until it takes damage. We've already discussed what it does, but here's another an addendum. If the creature's true form is concealed by an illusion, shapeshifting, or other effect, that form is revealed while it is turned. So there you go. Aura of Warding. Begin at 7th level. Ancient magic lies so heavily upon you that it forms an eldritch ward. You and friendly creatures within 10 feet of you have resistance to damage from spells. At 18th level, your aura is increased by 30 feet. That is really powerful. Undying Sentinel. Starting at 15th level, when you are reduced to 0 hit points and are not killed outright, you can choose to drop to 1 hit point instead. You can use this ability, once you use this ability, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Additionally, you suffer none of the drawbacks of old age, and you can't be aged magically. Note that you can still die of old age, it's just that even if you look like, if you're a human and you look 80, you're not going to fight like an 80-year-old. You're going to fight like a young man. That's what I'm taking from that. And also, you can't be magically aged to die. Elder Champion. At 20th level, you can assume the form of an ancient force of nature. Take on the appearance you choose. For example, your skin might turn green or take on a bark-like texture. Your hair might become leafy or moss-like. Or you might sprout antlers or a lion-like mane. Use your action to using your action, you undergo the transformation for 1 minute, and you gain the following benefits. At the start of each of your turns, you regain 10 hit points. Whenever you cast a Paladin spell that has a casting time of 1 action, you can cast it as a bonus action instead. Enemy creatures within 10 feet of you have disadvantage on saving throws against your Paladin spells and Channel Divinity options. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. The next oath is the Oath of Vengeance. The oath, this is one of the alignments where some people I talk to feel like you could go dark, or you could stay good, or even neutral. A lot of people agree with me that this oath gives you a lot more freedom. The Oath of Vengeance is a solemn commitment to punish those who have committed a grievous sin. When evil forces slaughter helpless villagers, when an entire people turns against the will of the gods, when a thieves' guild grows too violent and powerful, when a dragon rampages through the countryside. At times like these, paladins arise and swear an oath of vengeance to set right that which has gone wrong. To these paladins, sometimes called Avengers or Dark Knights, their own purity is not as important as delivering justice. The tenets of the Oath of Vengeance vary by paladin. Now, see, this is where it gets interesting. The Oath of Devotion and the Oath of the Ancient. Oath of the Ancient says true. It doesn't vary that much, and it's very old. The Oath of Devotion, that varies from order to order, whereas the Oath of Vengeance varies from paladin to paladin. There is no big order. But all the tenets revolve around punishing wrongdoers by any means necessary. Paladins who uphold these tenets are willing to sacrifice their own righteousness to mete out justice upon those who do evil. So the paladins are often neutral or lawful neutral in alignment. The core principles of the tenets are brutally simple. Fight the greater evil. Faced with the choice of fighting my sworn foes or combating a lesser evil, I choose the greater evil. No mercy for the wicked. Ordinary foes might win my mercy, but my sworn enemies do not. By any means necessary, my qualms can't get in the way of exterminating my foes. Restitution. If my foes wreak ruin on the world, it is because I failed to stop them. I must help those harmed by their misdeeds. And again, I really enjoy Oath of Vengeance. It's the main oath I would play if I was to play a paladin. Just because it plays, again, I like dark characters. I like playing them. Some people may just say, oh, you're trying to be edgy or whatever, or call me edgelord and all that. I just like them. It's really cool. I just really enjoy playing the dark characters. And I like how this alignment definitely has a lot more freedom, as what I said, in terms of alignment. And I like how you literally do not care about your own good. You no longer care. I like the concept of you no longer care about your soul or where it's going to end up, as long as you take out these guys. Your oath spells for this sacred oath is Bane, Hunter's Mark at 3rd level, 5th level is Hold Person and Misty Step. 9th level is Haste and Protection from Energy. 13th is Banishment and Dimension Door. 17th is Hold Monster and Scrying. I like the theme of this one. It's all about dealing extra damage, finding the person, trapping them, or getting to your target. Like, okay, Hunter's Mark allows you to not only deal extra damage, but track them. Bane, I think, is a damage dealing spell. Then Hold Person, you will simply trap them as you get closer to them. Misty Step will allow you to get closer very quickly towards them. Haste doubles your movement speed and allows you to take more actions at them. Protection from Energy, it's just to add up to your tankage so you can get to them better. In case there are spell slingers. Banishment, you're literally sending them. You're sending them away for a time. You're sending people out of your way. So, like, say if they have bodyguards, one person, you're just like banishment, boom, they're gone for a while you deal with their boss. Dimension Door, you're teleporting to them. Hold Monster, if it's not a being, if it's not a humanoid that you're trying to go after, it's a devil or a fiend you're after. You will hold them as you approach to finish them off, and Scrying will help you find them. I like all this. Let's take a look at Channel Divinity. As an action, you present your holy symbol and speak a prayer of denunciation using your Channel Divinity. Choose one creature within 60 feet of you that you can see. The creature must make a Wisdom saving throw unless it is immune to being frightened. Fiends and undead have disadvantage on the saving throw. On a fail, the creature is frightened for 1 minute, or if it takes any damage. While frightened, the creature's speed is reduced to 0, and it can't benefit from any bonus to its speed. On a successful save, the creature's speed is halved for 1 minute, or until it takes any damage. I like that. That is really cool. Vow of Anonymity. As a bonus action, you can utter a vow of anonymity against a creature that you can see within 10 feet of you. Using your Channel Divinity, you gain advantage on attack rolls against that creature for 1 minute, or until its hit points drops to 0 or falls unconscious. At level 7, you get Relentless Avenger. At level 7, your supernatural focus helps you close off a foe's retreat. When you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, you can move up to half your speed immediately after an attack as part of the same reaction. This movement doesn't provide opportunity attacks. Now, the only time you stop a creature from moving is when you drop it to 0 hit points, when they're moving away from you. So if a creature is moving 30 feet and they're just next to you, they still move the full 30 feet. It's just that after you hit them, they keep on running. But with this, if you hit them and you don't kill them, they move on. You can literally just be like, yeah, I'm going after you. So anyway, then you're using only half your movement, is it? Yeah. So you're not going like a foot, since they're taking the time to actually focus on running, and you're just reacting. You're not moving as quickly after them. But again, once it gets to your turn, you're closer to them. And I like that. It really put Soul of Vengeance. The authority at which 15 level you get Soul of Vengeance. The authority with which you speak your vow of enmity gives you greater power over your foe. When a creature under the effect of your vow of enmity makes an attack, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against that creature, if it is within range. 20th level, Avenging Angel. At level 20, when you have this Sacred Oath and this class, you can assume the form of an angelic avenger. Using your action, you undergo a transformation for 1 hour. For 1 hour you gain the following benefits. Wings sprout from your back and grant you a flying speed of 60 feet. You emanate an aura of menace. Oh yeah, I literally just noticed that you didn't, unlike the other Sacred Oaths, you don't get another aura. You emanate an aura of menace. In a 30-foot radius, the first time of any enemy creature that enters the area or starts its turn there during battle, the creature must succeed a Wisdom saving throw or become frightened of you for 1 minute, or until it takes damage. Attack rolls against the frightened creatures have advantage, and you can only use this ability once per long rest. That is really cool. So yeah, a lot of people say Oath of Vengeance Paladin, is allows you basically to play a Batman type of character, and I totally see it. Now you don't. Yeah, again, I know one person who's playing a Batman character, but sorry, a Batman inspired character, but they're not using a Paladin. They're using a fighter, I believe, with some levels in Rogue, and that's cool. I completely understand that they didn't want to use the holy religious stuff because I believe that's how that DM rules that game. But yeah, wow. Alright, folks, that is the vanilla Sacred Oaths. Now, Oath of the Crown, I'm sure it's not. It wasn't in the player's handbook, but let me check. Is that not? Does that mean that is in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide? Because I have an app that has all the classes and all that, and I know that there is an Oath of the Crown. Let's see here. Paladins, Sacred Oath. Order, Sacred Oath. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, it is in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, which sadly means I am not covering it today. We'll cover that at some point when I talk about the Sword Coast, which, trust me folks, is going to be a long while, because this vanilla D&D, like canon D&D, is large enough, like with all the different deities and multiverses, but talking about the Forgotten Realms is just so much, and there's the fact that there's the novels. I can talk about it from the point of view of the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, and from the combination of the other books. Now when I say books, I don't mean as in like the player's handbook or like other things. I'm talking about like actual novels and Tomb of Annihilation and the like. You know? So there's a lot to cover. But I will cover the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide as much as I can. But anyway, let's move on to the Xanatar's Guide to Everything Paladins. Okay. First is the quote. The true worth of a paladin is measured not in foes defeated or dungeons plundered. It is measured in lives saved and hearts turned to the causes of mercy and justice. A paladin is a living embodiment of an oath, a promise or vow made manifest in the person of a holy warrior who has the skill and determination to see a cause through to the end. Some paladins devote themselves expressively to protect the innocent and spreading justice to the world, while others resolve to attain that goal by conquering those who stand defiant and bringing them under the rule of law. Although no paladin in the world could be described as a number of them are narrow-minded do-gooders who refuse to tolerate even the smallest deviation from their own outlook. Paladins who take up the adventuring life, however, rarely remain so rigid in their attitudes, if only to keep alienating their companions. You can flesh out your paladin character by using the suggestions below. It is important to keep in mind that most paladins aren't robots. They have doubts and prejudices, and harbour contradictory thoughts just as any other character does. Some are compelled by an eternal motivation that might sometimes be at odds with their principles of their oath. And you have... Whoa! This actually gives you 4 tables. The other classes only give you 3 tables, I believe, when it comes to adding role-playing. Paladin has 4. Personal goals, symbols, nemesis, and temptation. That is really interesting. I'm looking through very quickly the other characters, and yeah, they all only have 3 other additional role-playing things. Let me check Wizard real quick. Wizard. Spellbooks, ambitions, and eccentricities. Yeah, wow, Paladins have 4. Interesting. Okay, your personal goals. The precepts of a paladin oath provides purpose to the character and dictate the ultimate goal, or an overall intent, that the paladin abides by and advances. Aside from that, paladins are driven by a personal goal that either complements or transcends the dictates of their oaths. Paladins who swear different oaths might have the same personal goal, differing only in how they apply that goal to their actions when upholding their oaths. If your paladin character has a personal goal, it might be drawn from some life event and thus not directly tied to your oath. It gives 6 examples titled Peace, Revenge, Duty, Leadership, Fate, and Glory. You can roll a d6 or pick one. Peace. You fight so that the future generations will not have to. Revenge. Your oath is a vehicle through which you will right an ancient wrong. Duty. You will live up to what you have sworn to do or die trying. Leadership. You will win a great battle that bards will sing about, and in so doing you will become an example to inspire others. Fate. You know your path is righteous, or else the gods would not have set you upon it. Glory. You will lead the world into a grand new era, one that will be branded with your name. Glory seems a little iffy in terms of alignment. You also have a symbol. Paladins are mindful of the influence of symbols, and many of them adopt or design an artistic device that bears a distinctive image. Your symbol exemplifies the oaths you have taken and communicates that message to those around you, friend or foe alike. Your symbol might also be displayed on a banner, a flag, or your clothing for all to see, or it could be less obvious, such as a trinket or a token that you carry concealed on your person. It gives you 6 options, or you can just pick one. A dragon, emblematic of your nobility in peace and ferocity in combat. A clenched fist, because you're always ready to fight for your beliefs. An unpraised open hand, indicating your preference for diplomacy over combat. A red heart, showing the world your commitment to justice. A black heart, signifying that emotions such as pity do not sway your dedication to your oath. An unblinking eye, meaning that you are ever alert to all threats against your cause. Now, let's see. Okay. Now the Nemesis one is very interesting. Their adherence to a sacred oath demands that paladins take an active stance in carrying their beliefs into the world. This activity naturally leads to conflict with creatures or entities that oppose those beliefs. Among those opponents, one often stands out as a paladin's most persistent and most formidable foe. A nemesis whose persistence and influence is a constant factor in a paladin's life. Your paladin character might have an enemy that dates from the days before you took your path, or you could be a target because you became a paladin. You immediately attracted the attention of those that would do you in. If you have a nemesis, who or what is it? Whom among your enemies do you consider to be the biggest threat to achieving your goals? It gives you 6 examples. Once again, it's always 6. 1. A mighty orc war chief who threatens to overrun and destroy everything you hold sacred. A fiend or a celestial. Now see again, celestial, so I like how they keep in mind that there may be players who want, to play like darker characters and I like that. I like that they're keeping this in mind. A fiend or celestial, an agent of power of the outer planes, who has been charged with corruption or redeeming you as appropriate. A dragon whose servants dog your steps. A high priest who sees you as a misguided fool and wants you to abandon your religion. A rival paladin who trained with you but became an oathbreaker and holds you responsible. A vampire who has sworn revenge against all paladins after being defeated by one. And you might have a temptation. These are things that may tempt you to break your oath. The 6 options are fury. When your anger is roused, you have trouble thinking straight, and you fear you might do something you'll regret. Pride. Your deeds are noteworthy, and no one takes note of them more often than you. Lust. You can't resist an attractive face and a pleasant smile. Envy. You are mindful of what some famous folk have accomplished, and you feel inadequate when your deeds don't compare to theirs. Despair. You consider that great strength of the enemies you must defeat, and at times you see no way to achieve your final victory. Greed. Regardless of how much glory and treasure you amass, it's never enough for you. All these add to a great character, but we're getting on a bit now. Let's keep pushing on. Now there are two new sacred oaths with Xanathar's Guide: Oath of Conquest and Oath of Redemption. Oath of Redemption is by far one of the fewest ones you can argue about being not good. Whereas Oath of Conquest, I believe, gives you a bit more wiggle room. Oath of the Conquest calls to paladins who seek glory in battle and the subjugation of their enemies. It isn't enough for these paladins to establish order. They must crush the forces of chaos. Sometimes called night tyrants or ironmongers, those who swear this oath gather into grim orders that serve gods and philosophies of war and well-ordered might. Some of these paladins go so far as to consort with the powers of the Nine Hells, valuing the rule of law over the balm of mercy. The Archdevil Bel, warlord of Avernus, counts many of these paladins, called Hell Knights, as his most ardent supporters. Hell Knights convert their armour into trophies taken from fallen enemies, a grim warning to any who dare oppose them, and decrees of their lords. These knights are often most fiercely resisted by other paladins of this oath, who believe that the Hell Knights have wandered too far into darkness. Tenets of Conquest. A paladin who takes this oath has the tenets of conquest seared on the upper arm. Wow. It's not may, has. So, this is something that your character has in your description. Douse the flame of hope. It is not enough to merely defeat the enemy in battle. Your victory must be so overwhelming that your enemies will to fight is shattered forever. A blade can end a life. Fear can end an empire. Rule with an iron fist. Once you have conquered, tolerate no dissent. Your word is law. Those who obey it shall be Those who obey it shall be favoured. Those who defy it shall be punished as an example to all those who might follow. Strength above all. You shall rule until a stronger one arises. Then you must grow mightier and meet the challenge, or fall to your own ruin. Yeah, Oath of Conquest, definitely. Oath of Conquest and Oath of the Paladin, definitely I can see the two of them being, any alignment other than chaotic. As I said, my personal belief is all paladins can be, are at least lawful. Now again, that is not to say all paladins. Do not confuse my personal beliefs with what might actually be fact. Some may argue, again, people have argued of a chaotic paladin doing good because of his oath of devotion. He has to break the law in order to, do good, or oath of vengeance being chaotic good. So, folks, again, just because my personal belief that most all paladins, or at least 95% of them are at least lawful, do not take that as concrete. Okay? Out of conquest features. We'll actually skip that. We'll just go straight into the conquest spells. At 3rd level you have Armour of Akatas and Command. At 5th level you have Hold Person and Spiritual Weapon. At 9th level you have Bestow, Curse and Fear. 13th level you have Dominate Beast and Stone Skin. At 17th level you have Cloud Kill and Dominate Person. Now, with your Channel Divinity you have your two things are, you can use your Conquering Presence. You use your channel divinity to exude a terrifying presence. As an action, you force each creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you to make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature becomes frightened of you for 1 minute. The frightened creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. Guided Strike. You can use your channel divinity to strike with supernatural accuracy. When you make an attack roll, you can use your channel divinity to gain a +10 bonus to their roll. You make this choice after you see the roll, but before the DM says whether or not the attack hits or misses. Aura of Conquest. Starting at level 7, you constantly emanate the menacing aura while you're not incapacitated. This aura extends 10 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover. If a creature is frightened of you, its speed is reduced to 0 while in this aura, and that creature takes psychic damage equal to half your paladin level if it starts its turn there. At 18th level, the range is increased to 3. This one does not have any constantly active effects, but it has more detriments to those that are suffering from your channel divinity and spells. There might be other ways to cause fear. Scornful Rebuke. Starting at 15th level, those who dare to strike you are psychically punished for their audacity. Whenever a creature hits you with an attack, that creature takes psychic damage equal to your charisma modifier, minimum of 1 if you're not incapacitated. Oh wow, that's really cool. Invincible Conqueror. At level 20, you gain the ability to harness extraordinary martial prowess. As an action, you can magically become an avatar of conquest, gaining the following benefits for 1 minute. You have resistance to all damage. When you take an attack action on your turn, you can make 1 additional attack as part of that action. Your melee weapon attacks score a critical hit on a 19 or 20 on a d20. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Oath of Conquest, very cool, and I can definitely see them being evil. Or any alignment. Oath of Redemption. The Oath of Redemption sets a paladin on a difficult path, one that requires a holy warrior to use violence only as their last resort. Paladins who dedicate themselves to this oath believe that any person can be redeemed, and on that path of benevolence and justice is one that anyone can walk. These paladins face evil creatures in the hope of turning their foes to the light, and they slay their enemies only when such a deed will clearly save other lives. Paladins who follow this path are known as redeemers. While redeemers are idealists, they are no fools. Redeemers know that undead, demons, devils, and other supernatural threats can be inherently evil. Against such foes, paladins who swear this oath bring the full wrath of their weapons and spells to bear. Yet the redeemers still pray that one day, even creatures of wickedness will invite their own redemption. The Tenets of Redemption. Tenets of the Oath of Redemption hold a paladin to high standard of peace and justice. The tenets of the Oath... peace. Violence is a weapon of last resort. Diplomacy and understanding are the paths of long-lasting peace. Innocence. All people begin life in an innocent state, and it is their environment or influence of a dark forces that drives them to evil. By setting the proper example and working to heal wounds of a deeply flawed world, you can set anyone on a righteous path. Patience. Change takes time. Those who have walked the path of wicked must be given reminders to keep them honest and true. Once you have planted the seed of righteousness in a creature, you must work day after day to allow that seed to survive and flourish. Wisdom. Your heart and mind must stay clear, for eventually you will be forced to admit defeat. While every creature can be redeemed, some are so far along the path of evil that you have no choice but to end their lives for the greater good. Any such action must be carefully weighed and the consequences fully understood. But once you have made that decision, follow through with it, knowing your path is just. Very interesting. The oath spells for this class are as follows: a third level Sanctuary and Sleep, fifth level Calm Emotions and Hold Person, ninth level Counterspell in Hypnotic Pattern, 13th level Otulix, Resilient Sphere and Stone Skin, 7th level Hold Monster and Wall of Force. I find this really interesting. Sleep is one of the few magic spells that specifically knocks out characters. Calm Emotions, Whole Person, Sanctuary, Hypnotic Pattern, like every other spell, seems to be with all your oath spells seem to have the intention to not kill, to either paralyze the subject until you can knock them out or talk sense into them, or to better protect yourself. Well, I would have to say, with the whole concept of Redeemers, I would actually have to make this class, this archetype specifically, of Redeemers, an exception to my standard rule. And I do not like the fact that in the player's handbook it's described that only melee attacks can knock out a creature. Now, magic is generally unruly, so therefore I'm okay with magic always having to kill. But with arrows, you can incapacitate an enemy using arrows, and a crossbow bolt. So I allow for arrows and ranged weapons to incapacitate enemies. But for magic, because magic is very unruly at times, I generally make that an exception. I keep it to killing only. But with Redeemers, I feel like Redeemers will be possibly an exception to that. Because, as described, they only bring their full magic power to play when they're going up against creatures that they know cannot be redeemed. If they're going against humanoids, it seems like they will not kill, unless it was to save someone else's life. So, for example, if they see a bunch of bandits, I would, if it's the first time meeting such a bandit, I would allow a Redeemer to use their magic to not kill a person. Given certain circumstances, depending on how much of an overkill it would have been. For example, when Wong in one of my games accidentally killed an NPC with using the Water Whip, which was from his monk archetype. He dealt that enemy only had 1 HP, and he dealt over 10 damage to the enemy. So therefore, yeah, he accidentally snapped that creature's neck. I would probably use the same type of ruling for a Redeemer if they were using like some sort of spell that dealt like a good amount of damage above the enemy's health. But for the most part, I would allow Redeemers to be the exception to my rule. That they suppress their magical energy enough to knock out the person. Like they're your channel divinity. Let's keep moving on, guys, because we're getting to nearly an hour now. Emissary of Peace. You can use your channel divinity to augment your presence with divine power. As a bonus action, you grant yourself a +5 bonus to charisma persuasion checks for the next 10 minutes. Rebuke the violent. You can use your channel divinity to rebuke those who use violence. Immediately after an attacker within 30 feet of you deals damage to an attack against a creature other than you, you can use your reaction to force the attacker to make a wisdom saving throw. On the failed save, the attacker takes radiant damage equal to the damage it just dealt. On a success, it takes half as much. I like that. It's like behavioral modification. Like, boom! Yeah, I just hit you. Oh, I just felt pain. Maybe I should not do that again. Aura of the Guardian. At 7th level, you can shield others from harm at cost of your own health. When a creature within 10 feet of you takes damage, you can use your reaction to magically take that damage. Instead, that creature taking it. This feature doesn't transfer any other effects that might occupy the damage, and this damage can't be reduced in any way. At 18th level, the range of this aura increases to 3 feet. This is pushing more of a tank. Protective Spirit. Start at 15th level. Your holy presence mends your wounds in battle. You regain hit points equal to 1d6 plus half your paladin level if you end your turn in combat with fewer than half your hit points remaining and you aren't incapacitated. Wow, that's actually really cool. Especially when you combine it with Aura of the Guardian. Emissary of Redemption. At 20th level, you become an Avatar of Peace, which gives you 2 benefits. You have resistance to all damage dealt by other creatures, their attacks, spells, and other effects. Whenever a creature hits you with an attack, it takes radiant damage equal to half the damage you take from the attack. If you attack a creature or cast a spell on it, or deal damage to it by any means but this feature, neither benefit works against that creature until you finish a long rest. So basically, as an emissary of redemption, you cannot attack creatures. If you attack a creature, you cannot benefit from your resistance. If I was playing a redeemer, I would try and play it off like when I use that ability, I'm taking this moment. I'm going to also boost my persuasion with Channel Divinity. Wait, does that use Channel Divinity? No, it doesn't. I would use those 2 things together to try and spend my time as an avatar to try and talk down the combat. I'll try and, convince the enemy to stop attacking. But yeah, folks, that was the Hell Knights or Tyrant Knights as described, and the Redeemers. Both really cool, and both offer really unique type of characters, and I like the contrast between the two. One, it tries to establish order by simply conquering everything, while the other tries to redeem. And again, I like how Xanathar's Guide really pushes for the idea that not all paladins are good, Now, sadly, I've seen YouTubers actually say they hate the Old Conquest just because of that thing. Like they hate what's it called? They hate the Outer Conquest just simply because these guys conquer others, and there's some of them that apparently work with devils. I'm like, yeah, if you read the lore, it explains why. But it's because it does not fit. It's because it does not fit into their headcanon that all paladins are lawful good. And again, that is the firm line. That is the line in the sand that I've seen some YouTubers make. That a paladin has to be lawful good. There's no ifs or buts about it. They are lawful good. They're always fighting for justice and whatnot. But Oath of Conquest does that. They just take it. Oath of Justice and Oath of Vengeance do that. It's just that they take it to the extreme. Oath of Vengeance, yeah, they will let themselves fall to take down the enemy, but they're doing bad shit for good reasons. And the same goes for the Oath of Conquest. Oath of Conquest is not so much as trying to wipe out all evil, it's just trying to wipe out chaos. And which does lead to just bandits, destroying so much shit. Like a Hell Knights or a Tyrant Knight ideology is, hey, if everyone is under one banner, there'll be no more wars, uh, and if people are afraid to break the, if we punish people who break the law hard enough, then no one will want to break the law. So that is the Tyrant Knight's philosophy, and Hell, and again, Tyrant Knights sometimes become Hell Knights because they may get a glimpse of what Hell is like and see that everything in Hell is strictly controlled. There is law and order within Hell. People steal and kill each other in Hell, but it's only done when it's sanctioned. Because if you break a law in Hell, you're not getting a second chance. That is it. You're done for. So the concept of crime is extremely rare in Hell. So that's why some Tyrant Knights gravitate to become Hell Knights. You know? And that is that logic. And it leads to an interesting role play. I don't understand why some people who get stuck into their own headcanon and then they don't enjoy some stuff of their own. Like, I'm not big into religious characters, but don't get me wrong. Like, a part of me would still enjoy playing some clerics, just because I know it might be fun to play a religious warrior, and their abilities are really cool, and so is the lore. But there's just so many classes that I would rather play before cleric. You know, just because I don't have a headcanon. Just because I have a headcanon that all paladins are lawful, does not mean that I'm gonna be angry if it turns out, oh no, paladins of Oath of Vengeance are chaotic good or chaotic neutral. I'm not gonna be upset about that. I mean, like, okay, I don't see it that way, but okay, if that's your opinion, fair play to you. I respect your opinion, and if you're the DM and you're ruling it that way, I'll keep that in mind. You know? I am not going to just simply state to people, oh no, you are wrong. You know? No, D&D is open to interpretation. Like, again, as I said, an Oath of Vengeance, I believe all paladins are lawful. Oath of Vengeance can be neutral or evil. But, again, some people interpreted the Oath of Vengeance as being chaotic good or neutral good or along the neutral spectrum. Other than that, okay, very well. If that is your opinion, I'm not going to say you're wrong. I stated my opinion, you stated yours. That is it. That's the end of the discussion. You know? We can debate about it and try and make points with one another, and try and convince the other to agree with our own point of view. Sorry, with my point of view. But I'm not just going to outright say you are wrong, because I don't know that. It depends on, like, again, it's like when you read a story. Like, a lot of people read different anecdotes for, like, stuff like, you know? And, again, I just don't understand why some people feel like they need to be 100% correct when it comes to something, especially like something with D&D, where it's so much fluid. Like, so many people have their own different worlds for Dungeons and Dragons. You know, like, I'm using a combination of Tamriel and Forgotten Realms, and a little bit of Teldori, but we're not getting into the Teldori contents just yet. But yeah. But then there's people who are using strictly Teldori, and there's no other types of world there. Some are using strictly Forgotten Realms, where there's no Teldori or no other continent. You know? It just weirds me out when people are just like, no, this is fact. This class is this race is this. That is it. You know? Because again, I had a player who said all tieflings are evil, just because of what the player's handbook says. Despite the fact that the player's handbook does not say that, it just says they lean towards chaotic. But yeah, it's just weird. And again, I interpret the evil alignments differently when it comes to player races. in my opinion, sorry, in player characters. In my opinion, a PC, when it comes to the evil alignment, yeah, you are purely selfish and you do not care about how your actions impact others. You know, you will still fight evil, but mainly only if it benefits you. Like my character in what's it called, the Friday game, the Lunar Guard Adventures. My character is lawful evil. He is purely out for his own gains, and he'll do whatever it takes to do it. Which is why he uses such magics like darkness and all and whatnot. Even though he wants to be known as the world's greatest swordsman, he will fight dirty, using whatever power he has. So if he gets into a fight against, for example, Darren Adermatt, who is Elle's uncle, and they're in an arena in a tournament, Elle will be whipping out, magic to enhance his speed or whatever. Sorry, Darren will be using magic to enhance his speed and defenses, and also his blade attacks. Whereas my character will be just simply, okay, darkness, boom, they can't see me. I will strike them at that point. That's how he will fight, and he will do anything it takes to forward that goal. Which is why, like, when his patron asks him to do something, he's not going to hesitate. His patron is giving him this power, and he will take it to achieve his goal. And he will do whatever it takes to complete his mission. For example, when we're dealing with the red brands, simple solution, kill all of them. Hey, if we chase them out, they can just come back. My solution, we just kill them. Problem solved. So yeah, so again, the concept that paladins are all this entire tangent is just my point of view on the alignment and how of paladins. Things are not black and white, so don't try and not be in that mindset. So if someone says to you paladins are holy knights in Dungeons and Dragons, if you do not agree with them, then explain why you don't agree with them. But don't just assume that your opinion is right. Don't push that type of ideology. Because Dungeons and Dragons is a great hobby, and we should not turn on each other and should not get into petty squabbles like that. We should all just enjoy the hobby. But anyway, folks, next up, the next class we'll be talking about is Rangers. And then after that we'll be going into Rogues. I'll check my sorcerer video and do a recap or whatnot. I may have to make some changes to it because I think I focused on the UA there, and I did the sorcerer video way before Xanatar's Guide came out, so I may have to, I'll probably have to do an updated version of that. And then last but not least, we'll be getting into my favourite class, Wizard. And then once we're done with the classes, we're going to be talking about backgrounds. And we're going to continue diving into creating your character and some of the customization that you may have. And I'm going to sound stupid, but I just realised, as I was flipping through talking about some of the stuff that I'm going to be doing later on, I literally just realised there is a cool alphabet system in the player's handbook for the language for Dwarven, Elven, and Draconic. Oh, I'm getting some ideas, folks. Anyway, that's giving me ideas for some handouts that the players will have to try and translate. Oh, it's gonna be fun. Anyway, this is Will from Ninja. Oh my god, a cool cipher! Oh wow! Sorry, no, I just got an idea for a really cool cipher, and I'm gonna bounce the idea off one of my co-TM's head. Anyway, this is Will from Ninja. Sign out. May the force be with you, and remember, roll for initiative.